Good morning, everyone. I have a little echo in the background. I think that's gone now. So welcome to the show. Anything that I say is not meant to diagnose you or replace your medical care. Check with your doc before taking any of the advice that we're about to give you. This is just for entertainment purposes. And we have some really good questions. In fact, I've been reading a lot of your questions throughout all the social media, so I'll be answering some of those questions on random things throughout this show. But if you want to ask questions, I think there might be a number down there that you can. I don't even know if we can actually enter any more people. But anyway, I want to jump right in and talk to someone. Steve, I think we have some callers, or actually some people ready to talk. So let's chat.
We sure do. Andrew, you're on with Dr. Berg.
All right. How do I sound?
Sounds great, Andrew.
Okay, great. First, I just want to say thank you for everything you do. I really feel like you've saved my life. I'm not just saying that. I really mean that. I go to the doctor. I had all these symptoms going on. I go to my family doctor, and he just wants to address each one with a different medication. I finally went to a personalized medicine doctor. He's finally checked my blood work, and he's actually checked the right things. So at least I find out what's really going on. But he doesn't really tie them all together like you've tied them all together, which comes down to my liver, high estrogen, fatigue, ringing in my ears, trouble sleeping, insulin resistance, hair thinning, low testosterone. I mean, I got it. So
Wow.
It really caused a very, very, very stress and anxiety because I had all things going on, and I wasn't exactly sure what's going on. But now, after watching numerous of your videos, it put me at ease to just attack the liver, help clean that out. And I'm on week 3 of keto. I take numerous of your supplements. I do about 4 to 6 hour window with intermittent. And I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that I can really attack this problem with the insulin resistance, the estrogen, because it's really, even though I'm doing keto and the supplement, I'm starting to sleep better, but I still kind of feel groggy and still kind of fatigued.
Okay, well, let me give you some advice, and I'll have Steve. I think what I'll do, Steve, is I'm going to.
You're going to mute out some folks, man? You're hearing a little noise back there? Yeah, go ahead and mute them out.
Okay, good. So now I can talk and not hear. Probably it's not coming through to everyone else. But hey, well, I'm so glad that you are doing this, because I can predict that you're going to take your body to a whole new level. But I will say that if you have a long-standing insulin resistance, it's just going to be a time thing, just to push you and do it long enough, because to get fully fat adapted, it takes about 1 to 3 months. So it's a little bit more. You're right in the beginning stages. So it's just a matter of having discipline and pushing through and keep implementing things. Because here's what happens. The longer you have insulin resistance, the less you're going to be able to quickly switch over to a full fat burning. Your brain, see what happens when you actually cut down your carbs and your sugars, you go into ketosis. But the question is, are you living 100% on ketones? No. About 40% of all your fuel is going to be ketones, and about, almost 60% is going to be fatty acids. So actual fat, not turning into ketones, you're just going to use that. The problem is the brain can't use fatty acids. It can only do on ketones and glucose. So this little switch, it's called a metabolic switch, that's working to help you adapt to ketosis. If you have very, very long-standing insulin resistance, it's going to take a little bit of time until everything is really over there. So you're just running on ketones. Your brain's running on ketones, and you don't have that brain fog. You don't have that irritability, because so many people, when they start doing fasting, at least initially, they might get irritable, they might get angry, they might go, what's going on? I thought I'm supposed to be doing better. And so you're going to get better results the more and more you do this. One thing I think that would help you too is milk thistle to add to the mix, because it's going to tap into supporting the liver cells, and maybe even some choline to strip off fat off your liver. And I think, man, if you could stay with this over the next month and probably several months from now, I mean, you're going to just be blown away at the results. So try to work towards one meal a day if you can, but do it. I think you're on the right track, and I can't wait to hear your success story, even as you do this. All I ask is you to go to my website too when you have the success and upload it, because right now I'm very interested in just getting all the success stories. I wish I would have started from the very beginning. There are literally hundreds of thousands of success stories that I just didn't really ask for. So now I'm asking for them. I want those success stories because I love reading them. I love sharing with the staff. They're just quite amazing. So thanks for being on. And I appreciate the question and sharing the great success that you have.
Absolutely. And I've come across so many people that don't know what's wrong with them, can't get any answers from the doctor. And I've shared so many of your videos, and friends and family. I took them straight to you. They've been thanking me. So I'm healing myself and helping others to see you and get your information as well. I was also wondering if there was anything particular, because I'm due for to have my blood work done in a couple weeks, and I was just curious if there's anything that you would suggest that I could add. He's checking my uric acid, my insulin, my CRP, my estradiol. I'm guessing that's estrogen. Testosterone, reverse T3, T3 free, T4, and TSH. I was just wondering if there was anything that you would add to that.
He's probably going to do a general blood test to pick up any liver stuff, like liver enzymes. That would be interesting. I mean, it might be also interesting if you did what's called a HOMA-IR test, which is it measures insulin resistance. See if sometimes docs don't even know what that test is, so you might want to educate them on it, but it's called a HOMA-IR, and that'll pick up where you are at with insulin resistance. It's always a really good one to do to see if your insulin is high. And then we know what's going on. The other one that's actually really beneficial, it's not terribly expensive, but sometimes you have to go to a cardiologist for that. But that would be a CAC test, a coronary artery calcification test. See, when you start, it'd be wonderful to see, get a baseline of if there's any calcium in your arteries, because that's the best predictor, way better than cholesterol, of what's going on inside your body to see where your health really is at. Do you have calcification on the arteries or not? If you do, don't be alarmed, because as you do this, it's going to get better and better and better. But that would be the ideal situation if you can get those tests.
Yeah, that's actually been on my mind, because I get these little tiny, almost quarter size little, my mom calls them calcium deposits. So I was wondering if I'm getting those, if I'm not really getting rid of the calcium, so I'm always worried if that's getting stored in my arteries as well.
Yeah, it would be really good to know that. You want it 0. So, but the cool thing is over time, it can get better and better and better. And in fact, one of the quiz questions is going to relate to that one topic. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, great. So that was HOMA, HOMA?
Yeah, HOMA-IR. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds great, man. I really appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure.
All right. So speaking of questions, and thanks so much, Andrew. What a great question. And I don't think a week goes by where we don't get someone on the air just thanking you, Dr. Berg, for this process and all the great things that happen, and me included. Intermittent fasting, not the greatest guy on the keto, but I mean well. But anyway, intermittent fasting has saved my life, I'm sure, in terms of keeping things in check. So speaking of questions, why don't we go to our first quiz question, and Doc, take it away.
Yeah. What is the biggest effect of fasting on your good bacteria? All those bacteria in your gut. What is the biggest effect when you stop eating on the microbes? Okay, there's a lot of cool effects, but what's the biggest one?
All right, sounds great. And why don't we go over to social media, Doc? And Leslie on YouTube wants to know if you have any suggestions for how to get rid of a facial seborrheic wart, Any word or suggestion for Leslie, who is agonizing over that?
I think I did a video on psoriasis plaquing recently. There's a really amazing cream that I found that I think I put a link on that video. If I haven't, I will do a video on that one topic. But there's this combination of these herbs that it's like a natural cortisol cream without the side effects, and it's these Chinese herbs, and I don't even know the brand name off my top of my head, but you rub that on your face and those lesions go right away. Very, very effective. And it's like a natural cortisone creep without the side effects. So it's a cortisone decreases or suppresses immune reactions. So it gets rid of inflammation. So it's really good for psoriasis. And it's a cream, and you can get it online. So I will put a video out on that to find it. But I mean, it's like miraculous for those people that have these little plaques from psoriasis, these skin lesions. I made a note, Steve.
All right, very good. And let's, I don't have all the answers back yet on our questions. So why don't we go to our next guest, and let's see, let's go to, how about Cole in Florida? Cole, stand by. Let me unmute you, and you're on with Dr. Berg.
Hi, Cole.
Hey. Well, thanks for taking my call, and I have some notes here. I'm just gonna go off these notes. So basically, I'm 17 years old, and so I'll be going into my senior year of high school, and I've always been, hard worker in school, and that means I've spent a lot of time, sitting in a chair, often looking down at whatever I'm studying. And so I've had back pain for quite a while, but now it's never been as bad as it is now. And so I just kind of got used to it, just sitting in school in the chair. And so for a couple months now, I've had chronic pain in my neck and my shoulder blade area, but it's on both sides. And it's just been so bad to the point that, it's kind of just ruined my life. And mostly because I can't really sit or stand, I kind of have to just lie down on my side. Even if I lie down like on my back. Yeah, when I sit or stand, basically it just kind of strains the neck and the rhomboids hurt, and it's on both sides. And so this year basically it's happened a couple of.
Question I have are did you start keto yet or fasting?
Yeah, so I do about 50 grams of carbs a day. And that's just because it's what fits in my budget. And so my first 2 meals are keto. My dinner, though, is usually like healthy pizza with sourdough bread, all good ingredients, all that stuff.
I got it. Okay, so I have a solution. Got it. Well, thanks for telling me. I have a great solution because I too had that similar pain for years. I didn't know what it was. There's a couple things that you can do. 2 things. One, there's an amazing exercise strengthening program out there that you can find videos online. I really, really like it. I recently discovered it. I'm personally doing it. It's called the Egoscue method. Don't ask me how to spell that. It's called Egoscue method. And there's these series of exercises that you do that counter these massive tension that builds up in your neck and lower back from sitting all day long, which I do. And it'll really help you strengthen the spine, the neck, and I think you'll get relief right away. In fact, I did a video and I recommended it, but a GOSCU method, I think it's AGCUE method. That's one thing I would highly recommend. The other thing too is that we want to decrease inflammation in your body. So the most important vitamin for that would be vitamin D3. I highly recommend you get vitamin D3, but make sure when you get it, it's in a form, whether you get it from me or someone else, make sure it's like in a 10,000 IU amount. So it's not like 1,000 IU amounts that you have to take a lot of them. So, and you want to take 2 of those. So you want 20,000 IUs every single day. Right there, that's going to help your pain, because one of the biggest benefits of vitamin D is to decrease pain and inflammation, especially in your bones, your muscles, and I think you'll start feeling better right away. Honestly, I would also work a little bit on your diet, and I probably, instead of doing that pizza, I know it's hard. You're going in the senior high school, might be impossible, but I would stick with like vegetables, meat, and then maybe some fatty things like nuts and avocado, stuff like that, instead of the sourdough stuff, because that can create inflammation, unfortunately, unless you make your own pizza from the recipe that I had. So that's what I would do. And I think that will help you a lot, because we want to drop inflammation. Ideally, if you're on a budget, you really need to be doing 2 meals a day. That'll save you money, and just maybe doing your lunch and dinner. And even as a high school student, if you have enough calories, you're going to be fine. So if you're going to cheat on carbs, I think it'd be better to cheat on a starch like a potato than a grain like the breads, pasta, cereal, cracker type stuff. If you're going to cheat, do that. All right. Well, I appreciate your comment.
All right, that's great. By the way, Doc, yeah, and thank you, Cole. I wish you well in high school with all those struggles, and so does our audience.
Thank
and
you.
let's go to our quiz.
Yeah.
Stand by, please. And the answers are, the question was, what is the biggest effect of fasting on your good bacteria? Autophagy, 70% of the audience claims. 10% say ketones. Let's see, and 10% say kill microbes. And then Reuter, Stevie, is that what that is?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. Somebody, REUTER, many of them claim that somehow has a role in it, if you know what that means, Doc. So anyway, what say you, Doc? Do we have any winners in this regard?
Well, it does create all those effects, but the biggest thing that it will do, it increases diversity in the microbiome. What does that mean, diversity? You strengthen the different, the community of microbes, all working mutually for the benefit of exchanging each other one thing for another. So you get additional strains of microbes that are strengthened that you wouldn't have before, which is pretty wild. Apparently, when you starve off your microbes, that you strengthen them, at least initially. I mean, the point where you're going to starve them off completely, you strengthen them and they become stronger. So feeding them too much food makes them weak and lazy. Steve, have you ever seen that movie WALL-E?
Oh yeah, I love it. It looks so comfortable to roll around those chairs and get fat. I can really relate.
It's kind of like that's basically what happens. So when you starve off your microbes, they become stronger and they adapt through the stress. So a little stress actually is necessary to strengthen your body. So you get more diversity. So you have actually a stronger set of microbes in your gut when you don't feed them as often. So that's the biggest benefit. And the difference between a good bacteria and a bad bacteria is the good bacteria exchanges with you. It's kind of like let's say you had a business and you had staff that actually, you pay them money and then they give you something in return. They actually do the work that you want them, right? Versus you have a bunch of staff that you pay, but they don't do any work. You're not going to have a healthy environment. So the same thing with the pathogen, it takes something, but it doesn't give anything back. It rips things. It's kind of like pathogens are criminals. They take something, they don't give it back. Steve, remember I told you about the story about, I saw this flyer of this group that's going to cut your grass, and they'll come to your house and they'll cut your grass. And so I hired them. So, hey, great, you're going to cut my grass. I come back home and the grass isn't done. The window's broken and there's things that are stolen. I'm like, that's an example of a parasite. Someone that takes something but doesn't actually cut your grass or give you something in exchange. But these friendly microbes make vitamins. They have immune protection. They make biotin, B12, B1, B2, B3, folate, vitamin K1. They're making all these great, wonderful things. I mean, it's bizarre. Here you are, you have to get your vitamins from your vegetables, and other foods, but these microbes actually can make vitamins for you. And all they want is a home to live in, and they want some fiber. And the cool thing is you can't digest fiber, so might as well give it to them. And they can turn that into small chain fatty acids, which have huge benefits in blood sugars, and I'll actually be doing a video on that soon. But so I guess that was a long answer. But
well, they don't mow your lawn though. That's the only issue. So, but neither do the crooks. So I digress.
Yeah.
All right, listen, we got some questions on YouTube. Renee says she's upped her veggie quantity on keto and is suffering horrible stomach pain, especially zucchini and broccoli. Do you have any suggestions for Renee? Because she's being a good participant in your program. I hope we can help her.
Two things are going to happen. When you increase vegetables, you're going to feel better or worse. If you feel worse, then you may not have the microbes or the enzymes to digest those type of vegetables, especially if they're new. I cannot consume any broccoli, or my stomach will just literally be in severe pain where I double over. So you may just want to just start changing up your vegetables to different things that you can digest. I found cabbage to be something that most people do very well if they have a sensitivity in their gut. If you have damage in your gut, if you have leaky gut, if you have SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and you eat too many vegetables, you're going to feel worse, in which case you need to cut those down and have small amounts, maybe some fermented, maybe cooked. So you can't always give everyone the same diet necessarily. So the weaker the digestive system, the more they have to do more carnivore until it heals. But for the majority of the population, I think it's these plant-based chemicals, the plant-based chemicals in the vegetables give you some additional benefits with your health that you wouldn't normally have. And like anti-cancer properties and helping your liver. So there are many benefits, and most people can digest that. And I know there's different schools of thought with the nutrients like oxalates and different things in vegetables that might make you worse. But that's only if you have like a leaky gut that can go in there and create an immune reaction. But I found I do better with more vegetables simply because you have the mineral components to vegetables, you have the chlorophyll, and you have the phytonutrients, carotenoids, lutein, sulforaphanes, all these things that can actually also help prevent cancer and turn poisons into harmless particles because of the stimulation of the phase 1, phase 2 detoxification in your liver, as well as the promotion of antioxidants, the antioxidant networks in your body. So I've just observed that across the board.
Well, that's fantastic. I tell you what, Dr. Berg, let's get to the list of folks that are listening around the world, and they are as follows. We have viewers in the UK, the Philippines, Australia, Morocco, Saudi Arabia, Switzerland, South Africa,
Mhm.
Let's see, Belgium, India, Pakistan, Spain, good grief. Germany, France, Denmark, Israel, Zambia. I've been to Zambia, beautiful place. Finland, Russia, Trinidad, Tobago, Lebanon, Kashmir, Ecuador, Norway, Mexico. Thank you for checking in, Mexico, and all across these United States. So that's fantastic. And let's see, how about we go right to a question here? So Walter from YouTube, best foods to eat for a fatty liver. Is red meat or grass-fed meat okay to eat in that regard?
Yes, it's totally fine. You should be eating grass-fed meat. And the other thing that's really good for a liver is foods that are high in choline. Choline helps break down fat. It's part of the components of bile salts. And guess what has choline? Eggs. Eggs are a good source of choline, especially the yolks. So egg yolks are good for a fatty liver. The other thing that's good for a fatty liver are a lot of vegetables and also beets. Now, I normally, people think, well, beets are not keto friendly. Well, that would be beet juice. There's so much fiber in a beet, and I'm not talking eat massive amounts, but if you have some of the beets cut up in your salad, it can and you steam it for 15 minutes, you can actually get some cool benefits from those beets, especially even the beet tops, which are probably one of the things that has the most potassium of any other food is the beet tops. So you want to keep your carbs very, very low, and you want to keep your protein moderate if you have a fatty liver. And I've done a lot of videos on this, and it does take a bit of time to rejuvenate a liver. Sometimes it'll take, believe it or not, up to a few years. So don't give up, and don't be like one patient I had who said, I did your program for 2 weeks and it didn't work, and he has a fatty liver. I said, 2 weeks? What gave you the idea it's going to take just 2 weeks? I mean, your liver is like 3.5 pounds. So I had to educate him on that. It does take some time to regenerate a liver, but it is one of the only organs that can completely regenerate 100%. That's the good news.
Boy, that's absolutely amazing. How about we go to another question, Dr. Berg, and here it is.
All right. What is the best exercise for diabetes? Okay. That's the question.
Okay, audience, hop on it. Let's see. Gwen from Facebook. We've been neglecting Facebook, and we won't do that ever again. Best foods for someone with MS.
Well, MS is an autoimmune disease, and so you'd want to consume food that is anti-inflammatory. So right off the bat, we're going to do a low carb. We're going to do a normal, healthy keto. But the key is the fasting. You must do the fasting as long as you can. Not just intermittent fasting with one meal a day, but also periodic prolonged fasting. I don't know where that feedback is coming from, but so periodic prolonged fasting, so you can really induce a tremendous amount of anti-inflammatory effects from that fasting. And another little secret is to take vitamin D in large amounts. I would probably do 50, maybe 40 to 50,000 IUs of vitamin D every day. I've done a video on this for MS. There's some great data from a researcher in South America that I gave links to, and that has great results with helping people with MS using high doses of vitamin D, because it can act also on the autoimmune factor. Also, you want to add some purified bile salts in there, because the purified bile salts help open up the vitamin D receptor. And when you have autoimmune diseases, apparently that receptor for vitamin D, which you need desperately to moderate the immune system, is somewhat resistant and blocked. So if we can open up that vitamin D receptor and allow the vitamin D to go in there so it can create the anti-inflammatory effects, which create pretty much all the problem, then that will work. So you want purified bile salts, a lot of vitamin D, and just think about this. If you had MS and you just got rid of all the inflammation related to MS, you'd probably feel normal, because autoimmune diseases, really the damage comes from the inflammation on the nerves, because you have this immune cell that's attacking itself. So we want to turn that thing off, and definitely watch some of my videos on that. I have a lot more to say on that.
Okay, drberg.com. Now, let's go to our question, which we have answers for. What is the best exercise for diabetes? And our audience claims that 85% say walking or long walks, I guess exercise. 15% say running or high-intensity exercise. So that's 100%, Doc. Are they 100% right or wrong?
Well, there's another study that came out that I want to share with you in a video that I'll be doing that shows you that the high intensity interval training, like sprinting, for example, is the best for diabetes, better than low intensity walking. And that's aerobic exercise versus the anaerobic, which doesn't use oxygen. So why does that help you? Because apparently you get a much greater significant improvement with insulin resistance when you do high intensity type exercise. And that would be like sprints. So if you have diabetes or prediabetes, or you have a stubborn metabolism, I would definitely do both, but don't neglect the high intensity interval training, because that can help you with your blood sugars. And it's something you can do to speed up the process of correcting insulin resistance. The other cool thing about high intensity interval training is that it's short. Yes, it's painful. Yes, it's more uncomfortable than walking, but it's a short-term workout that has some pretty cool benefits with growth hormone too, if you're interested in anti-aging. If you want to reverse the aging process, slow it down, and you want to spike growth hormone, do high intensity interval training. If you combine it with fasting, then you'll really help yourself stay younger, and actually speed up this process of getting rid of the pre-diabetic type issues that come with the insulin resistance.
All right, Doc, I'm going to selfishly insert myself in here. So I do jog every night, but pretty darn slow, and it's a pitiful sight to see me try to sprint. So with something like an exercise bike, I mean, can you get high intensity training using other modalities other than, sprinting, which I can no longer do?
Well, let's say, for example, you had a treadmill or a bike. You can put the resistance up, and you can go as fast as you can for 45 seconds. I mean, or if you get a treadmill, turn it all the way up to the highest incline, and go as fast as you can, and then kind of you're running up a hill if you can do that. I mean, what you want to achieve is you want to achieve a full body, high intensity workout, that you can't really do for more than a minute to 45 seconds. Anything could be burpees, could be anything high intensity, full body, that would be qualified for a high intensity interval training type workout. I don't know if you saw my video, Steve, that I did on plyometrics, where I'm jumping on a stump in the back of my yard. And then I start doing a higher stump, and then jump, and then I actually jump on my railing, which is about 5.5 feet, Steve.
Oh, I remember the video. Absolutely, doctor.
So if you haven't, I have to find that video because it's one of my older videos. And then I actually attempted to jump over a car.
I remember.
If you want to check that video, you might want to search plyometric, Dr. Berg and plyometric, or I'll have to put that out there, because that people are still trying to figure out, how did you jump 5.5 feet vertically?
I know.
I'll let you guys figure that out.
Unbelievable. Okay, so hint, he was on the moon. Okay, so Victoria from Facebook wants to know, and this is this prevalent these days with COVID and all the things in the world, best supplements and food for someone with extreme anxiety. That's a tough one.
Well, it's not if you know how to do it. I think the best remedy, hands down, for anxiety is going to be vitamin B1. I would get it from nutritional yeast, but you should feel nice calmness within 3 minutes after taking vitamin B1. B1 is the deficiency when you have nervous tension, you can't relax, anxiety, you're worrying all the time, especially before bed. And it's really the overconsumption of refined carbohydrates and sugars that create that. The next one would be potassium, and the next one would be magnesium. And get it from the diet if you can. If not, get it from electrolyte powder. But all those are physiological tranquilizers to calm your nervous system and pull you out of anxiety. There is one more thing, and that's vitamin D, preferably from the sun. If you can't get it from the sun, get it from the supplement. But vitamin D is great for depression and anxiety. Those should take you out of that state. And of course, if you can definitely isolate the source of this anxiety, the better. But some people, they just have it. They don't know why they have it. And it's usually coming from the diet. I did a video on fasting and how it affects your mood to pull you out of this state. Steve, I had anxiety so bad at one time, especially when I slept. I mean, I was thinking, analyzing all the problems and worry, and oh my gosh, there was like a party going on in my head. I couldn't turn off this figuring, solving all these problems. And that went on for about, I think, a decade or two, until I started getting my diet straightened out, until I started doing fasting, until I started doing vitamin D and the B1. And now there's quiet. It's nice.
Well, I tell you what, when I run out of the nutritional yeast, that's when I get anxious. I tell you what, I really found that to be just a terrific remedy for anxiety. I feel calmer, and I don't feel like hitting the donuts. So I brag about that every week, but it's just absolutely fantastic. And for anyone that doesn't know, hang on just a second, what that looks like. Here we go. It is this delicious stuff right here, and I just crunch away at it. So it's good stuff, audience. Try some of that to ward off your desire to eat everything in the cabinet and to calm down a little bit. So I tell you what, we've got Hector who's going to be coming up, but before we get there, let's launch the next question, and it is as follows. Doc, take it away.
Okay, which is better to prevent calcium from building up in your arteries? Vitamin K2 or potassium?
Okay, audience, you got that. Now let's go to Hector in Long Island with a question for Dr. Berg. Stand by. Let's bring that up just a moment. Hector, you're on with Dr. Berg. Welcome.
Good morning, Dr. Berg.
Good
Thank
morning.
you for having me on today.
My pleasure.
I appreciate all the information that you put out there. I really learned a lot, me and my family, and it's been very helpful and useful for many situations that we've been recently going through. And I wanted to give you some background information about myself, just so you understand some further questions that I'm going to ask. About on September 8th, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, and in April 1st, I had an ultrasound in where the impression was that there were 3 nodules in the left lobe, and one is slightly larger. There's 2 abnormal appearing level 3 lymph nodes in the left neck. So I believe it's somewhere around here. And since I received this information in October, I've been eating healthier, I would say. Well, since last 2020, I've been eating healthier. And it was more around April where I started cutting my carbs more than normal, because back in October, I thought the diet that I was going was fine, but like instead of rice, I was eating quinoa and salmon and a couple other things. Sometimes I would eat some pasta that were like from red lentils or from chickpea. But I didn't really realize that they were all those high carbs added up. Mm-hmm. So in April, I started eating less, and I've been keeping my around. I'd say last month it was more of like around 50. Now between June and last month, it's been around 20 to 30. And so one of the questions that I had was, can someone with thyroid cancer or maybe cancer in general use natural sweeteners such as monk fruits, erythritol, stevia, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a couple other questions, but I don't want to ask too much.
Okay.
So that, and I guess another question that I would really like you to answer is it okay to consume keto foods or recipe meals that include almond or coconut flour, or like would I be able to use nut milks?
Okay. All right. Well, that's a loaded. It's a lot there. So let me just kind of give you a couple little points on that. Yes, you can do the monk fruit. You can do the stevia. I think that would be good. I would really make sure though that your sugar alcohols, if you're going to do the other ones, that they're non-GMO, so you don't have any type of extra chemicals in there. The challenge with cancer, and I just released a video on this, is that I believe now that cancer can also live on ketones. However, I think the ketogenic diet, a healthy version of it, is something that is going to prevent cancer. Because cancer comes from DNA damage. So, and all the sugar and carbs destroy the mitochondria. So that's one thing. But when you have cancer, you definitely want to cut your carbs way down like you're doing. That's important. You definitely don't want to do a high protein diet because certain proteins can feed to cancer. But now the question is, how do you go low fat on a high on keto? It's going to be like, oh my gosh, I need calories. Well, you do the best you can. I will be doing more videos on this, and I have some ideas on how to solve that problem to get the calories you need. At the same time, starve off the cancer. But I think for right now, what you should focus on is the nutrient-dense vegetable family to really beef that up, no pun intended, and I'm talking about the cruciferous family and those vegetables and herbs and other things that are loaded with anti-cancer properties, like garlic, like kale, like broccoli sprouts. Those are the things that you want to just start eating a lot more of. I would definitely put some high quality olive oil on there. That's the type of fat that you can have. And start focusing on strengthening your immune system, because that's really ultimately what you need to focus on. Almond flour, it's a low quality type protein thing. It's keto. It's like a filler. It's not going to give you a lot of benefits. It's still keto though. I mean, you can use some of it, but you're going to have to at this time focus on two things: super high quality food, clean, organic, that has a lot of nutrient, anti-cancer properties, and this is the most important thing. Are you sitting down for this? Okay.
Yes.
Good. You need to focus on as much fasting as you can, and that's where you're going to see the magic happen. I'm talking about one meal a day, and then I'm talking about periodic prolonged fast. So once a week you do a 48-hour fast. Once a month you do a 4 or 5 day fast. That's what I would do, because the fasting will start to turn on things in your body that will fight this situation much better and overcome it. So these are just a couple tips that I'm throwing out there. How does that sound?
Thank you, Dr. Berg.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, we wish Hector well. Our thoughts and prayers go out to you, sir. And I hope all is well. You should check back in with us, as the months go by and you get better. So anyway, let's go back to a quiz question that we have some answers for, Doc. And the question was, which is better to prevent calcium from building up in your arteries, K2 or potassium? And let's see, the audience says 75% say K2, 25% say potassium, are they on the right track, Dr. Berg?
Well, it's a bit of a trick question because I've done so many videos on K2, but the answer is potassium. I'm going to tell you why. And I just did a video on this topic, and I found this research study. It's the first of its kind to demonstrate that potassium controls calcium inside your cells. I mean, if you are deficient in potassium, you'll start getting deposits of calcium, which is actually fascinating. So these two electrolytes work together. And if you have enough potassium, you can prevent significantly buildup of calcium in the arteries. You can prevent the thickening of the artery walls that end up creating a kind of a stiffness, which you get high blood pressure. This is why potassium is so important if you have high blood pressure, and preventing high blood pressure, and which is all just a precursor for getting a stroke. So potassium is so important in heart function and artery health and insulin resistance, of course. That relates to both of those situations. Now, I know it's not the complete answer, because you also have this inflammatory lesion that occurs in the artery to start the calcification from starting in the first place. So if you are good with your diet and low in potassium, I think you're still going to be okay. But if you are doing high carbs, you're doing sugar, and you're low in potassium, not a good combination, because you're going to get a buildup of calcium, in which case you need to do the coronary artery calcium test to measure how much calcium you have in your arteries. But potassium is protective. We need a lot of it. We need like 4,700 milligrams every day. That's about 7 to 10 cups of vegetables, which the average person consumes 1.5 cups. So they're a little bit off on that. And then also potassium, believe it or not, is protective against kidney problems too. Because sometimes people have this false information like, oh, too much potassium is damaging your kidney. Yeah, well, maybe if you have stage 5, disease of your kidney and you're in kidney dialysis, but there's more and more data that shows that potassium is protective to your kidneys. So, but if we're talking about preventing calcium deposits, K2 is important, but potassium is actually more important, which is very interesting.
Well, that is
Stay
interesting.
tuned for that.
That is. And by the way, drberg.com, everyone, if you don't already know, I'm sure you do, because that's where you're watching the show, but drberg.com to look up all those videos and great products and so on. So let's go ahead and throw out another question. Then we're going to try to go to Tariq in Egypt, who is on the line. But the next one is as follows, Doc. Read it out for us.
Why do probiotics help you sleep at night? Okay. I always like, someone can tell you that take this or do this for this symptom, but I always like to tell you the why, because understanding the mechanism, I think, is important. So I'm going to tell you why, but I want to see if you guys first know.
Well, I tell you what, why don't we go to Egypt with Tariq, and let's see if we can answer a question for him. Hey, Tariq, you're on the air with Dr. Berg.
Hello, Doc.
Hello.
Oh, I've been watching your videos for quite some time, but I really can't get on the keto yet. But I see it's like a salvation or a promising solution for a lot of health problems. Like 6 or 5 months ago, I started developing GERD because I'm sadly a type 3 obese. And since then, actually, my sensation of for pain, has been like off the charts. Like I feel pain like too much. I've been very anxious. I've been like depressed more often. So I don't know. Is there like a relation? I'm trying to cut it short, but this is what I'm like feeling all the time. Like the sensation, like the chest pain, the heartburn, and sometimes I feel like some joint pain or like pain in the feet or in the limbs especially. It's
Okay.
like not so random, but if I like hear something that is unpleasant, watch some bad news, like someone is sick, someone has passed, well, stuff like that. So is there a link between these?
Yes, there is a
Just
link.
trying to.
Yeah, there is a link. And here's what you have to realize: the stomach is the key to so many different issues. And what you need to do is get what's called betaine hydrochloride. It's a natural thing, betaine hydrochloride, and you take about 4 or 5 of those with each meal, because you need to acidify your stomach so you can start digesting better. And you're going to find the valves on the top of the stomach and the bottom of the stomach are going to be tighter, so that way the acid won't reflux anymore, and you'll feel better by taking more acid, which is just the opposite. Plus, you're going to be able to digest more thoroughly your proteins, which is going to help your mood. It's going to make you feel better, and so you'll have more complete digestion, less bloating, less gas. Now, I think you definitely need some serious amounts of vitamin D3, because that's going to improve your mood. I know, you know, my YouTube channel, I have a channel in Arabic right now, and it goes out to just as many people are watching the Arabic channel as the English channel, which is fascinating. And the majority of those people are in Northern Africa, which is fascinating. So I find that interesting. So I think, I'm just guessing, that people in Northern Africa have a problem with maybe obesity, maybe diabetes, maybe some of the similar symptoms, because that's what I talk about all the time. So I think we need to make you a poster child for our program, so you can start getting on keto, start baby steps and implement it. And I'm telling you, you're going to start feeling better right away. As soon as you start reducing those wonderful carbohydrates, the sweets, which I know you probably are thinking about right now, but you want to get rid of them completely. I know that. And then start to do the fasting. But see, if you actually cut your carbs, it'll be easier to do this without eating. You'll fast easier because you won't be craving. And so if you don't have any cravings, then it's going to be no problem. It's going to be easier than trying to do this with cravings. And then once you do it, after about 3 or 4 or 5 days, you're going to feel better. And then you have more confidence that, like, okay, I can do this longer. And you just stick with it. And it's okay to have more fats. And then you're going to get better and better and better, lose the weight. And all of a sudden you're going to look back at that and go, why didn't I start this a long time ago? But you need the vitamin D. You need probably the betaine hydrochloride. Apple cider vinegar with water would be good to drink that. Yeah, so that's all you have to do. And I think that's a good way to get started. But the vitamin D, despite being in a very sunny area all the time, because of the weight gain that people have in that area, they can't absorb vitamin D from the sun anyway too well. So I think if you need to take it as a supplement, I would take probably 20 to 30,000 IUs every day. And I think that right there is going to start making you feel better. Sound good?
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Doc.
You're welcome.
Well, I tell you what, people from all around the world, my brother Tariq, we might have different culture and language, but man, we love the carbs. I'll tell you that much. So that's a challenge all around the world. In North Africa, I am with you, struggling to keep off of that stuff because I feel so much better when I'm not. Anyway, Dr. Berg, let's go back. And Tariq, thanks for joining us from Egypt. That's really cool. Let's go to the quiz question and get some answers. And the question was, why do probiotics help you sleep? And let's see, 20% say that it helps with digestion. 20% say it regulates vitamins. 20% say that it makes serotonin, yay. 20% say it makes melatonin. I hope this adds up to 100. It does. And calms your gut. 20% say that it calms your gut. Are we on the right track, Doc?
We are on the right track. I'm going to do a video on this, but what's fascinating about these probiotics is they eat fiber. They do eat a little bit of protein, but they eat mostly fiber. And that fiber turns into a fat called a short-chain fatty acid. And these short-chain fatty acids are precursors. What's that?
I don't think we said anything, Doc. Carry on.
Okay, so These short chain fatty acids are precursors, they're building blocks to serotonin. And 90% of all the serotonin in your body is made in the gut. So that's the link. Serotonin is the hormone that converts to melatonin. It helps you sleep. It's also the hormone that makes you happy. But yes, 90% of that serotonin. So it comes from this fat that is made by your microbes through the ingestion of fiber. So your microbes make a lot of neurotransmitters, and GABA too, which is a calming type hormone. So here's what you might want to do, and I'm not biased to my probiotic. You can do other ones, but of course, I am a little biased. If you take a probiotic right before bed, you will sleep better. Normally, you'll sleep better. Don't take a massive amount, just take the regular amount and then notice how much better you sleep. I take probiotics before I go to sleep. I take it like a capful liquid, and I notice a significant difference when I wake up. I'm like, wow, did I get a good rest? It's because your microbes now you have more of them to make more serotonin. So, and serotonin helps you with sleep. It helps bring up your mood. And it also, it helps with anxiety and stress and cravings for carbs. I mean, I don't know if you ever heard of a serotonin reuptake inhibitor they use for anxiety. Serotonin, kind of like they block the reabsorption of serotonin to help you have more serotonin when you're depressed or have anxiety. Serotonin. Okay, so probiotics before bed, that can help you.
All right, serotonin is. Now, we've got some great audience participation. Let's not quit now. Here's our final question for the day, and then we're going to announce some upcoming videos. So, Doc, take it away.
Okay, what does fasting do to your genes that influence cancer? And I almost talked about it when I was on the last question before, but we want to know the relationship between how fasting affects the genes that influence cancer. So, how does fasting affect your genes related to cancer? That's the question.
All right, we're going to have the audience dig for that answer. And in the meantime, Elise from Facebook wants to know the best supplements and food for someone that has PCOS, whatever that is.
Polycystic ovarian disorder or syndrome. That condition is a situation where you have these little cysts on the ovaries that are creating infertility, that are creating an androgen spike. That's a male hormone spike. You get facial hair, male pattern baldness, deeper voice. But other than that, you're doing really good. It's really an insulin problem because you're eating too many carbs. So the simple solution is to cut your carbs, go on healthy keto. I've done lots of videos on this. You can reverse it. Because guess what they use as a treatment for this disorder? They use metformin. What does metformin attack? Insulin resistance. Why not just do keto? I mean, there's less side effects.
Absolutely.
That's what I would do.
Okay,
That's
Doc.
That's just me.
All right. Sorry, Doc. I'm stepping on you. Very rude. But I got a good reason, because I want you to discuss the upcoming videos while we're waiting for the answer to the last question. And here it is.
All right. The health benefits of citrus, the benefits of carrots for a fatty liver, using beets to detoxify your liver, what causes right ankle edema, reverse engineering a heart attack. I'll give you some other ones, Steve. Why you need to always eat cooked mushrooms instead of raw mushrooms. Why people get angry when they do fasting. The benefits of green tea for your skin health. I've done the benefits of green tea for cancer, but skin health, fascinating. More data on gut health with fasting. How fasting affects neurological diseases, why shingles is on the rise.
Ouch.
And also data on potassium in your kidneys. Let's see. I'm going to release a video on potassium as preventing or controlling vascular calcification. Let's see, another one here on the hunger and feeling satisfied mechanism. I released a real interesting video on the first sign of high cortisol. I think in the first day we had over 119,000 views. Apparently, a lot of people have high cortisol. How stress affects your microbiome. Also, I'm releasing a video on how to affect the relationship between your mid-back and stress. There's a simple exercise you can do because your mid-back, you have all the flight or fight nerves through there, and you can greatly improve that situation.
Goodness, Doc, where do you find the time? I tell you what, just to remind everybody, all these videos will be available on Dr. Berg's YouTube channel and drberg.com. So got plenty of stuff to learn from Dr. Berg each week. And how about if we go to the answers to the final question? And the question was, what does fasting do to the genes that influence cancer? And I love it when an audience comes together. 100% say fasting starves and kill cancer genes. That's a very optimistic answer. Are they correct?
Yeah, there's two things that happen to the gene. They turn on or turn off, right? And so you may have genes that can activate cancer, and you have genes that are attack cancer. When you fast, you turn on the genes that inhibit the initiation of cancer, okay, number one, and the spread of cancer, the malignancy of cancer. Both of those actions are affected when you do fasting.
Wow, that's fantastic. And by the way, just to remind the audience, we're so pleased that people are coming in and actually being on the air, and we can see their face, like Tariq from Egypt and all the rest. And we want to remind you that if you filled out the application and you got an invite link, please keep trying throughout the show. And that Tariq did that and was able to get in after we'd already filled up the ranks. So every week we want you to stay consistent, keep doing it just like it's a phone call. Just keep trying to re-enter the conversation. If it says it's all full, don't worry. As soon as people drop off, we'll have some more openings for you. Well, Doc, that is a wrap for this week. Why don't you carry us out and we'll play our jingle.
Well, I have to quickly get off the air because Karen's making faces in the background. So have a great weekend. I will see you next week on Friday. And stay tuned for a lot of more interesting videos.